what are you researching?
So right now, I am currently doing research on the Negro Motorist Green Book, which was a travel guide for African Americans during the 20th century.
There were some places that black people could not go. That might not be self-explanatory for everybody.
Something as simple as trying to stop to get something to eat. Now, in this time period, you can go to McDonald's, Chipotle, wherever, stop and get some food, go use the restroom, come back out, and then drive. Well, back then, you could not. You had to find a place that was dedicated to African Americans. And that at that time, we didn't have highways fully developed like how we do now.
But what is the essence of this project that you are carrying out?
So right now I'm trying to continue to help others learn about hidden stories.
What really interests you about history?
And so it started with me having a knack for remembering people's birthdays.
How do you go about your research?
Yes, so I'm Dr. Justice Brisco. I am a 2-year recent graduate of Liberty University, getting my doctorate in history. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm just excited to share with you guys all about what I have coming up and just my journey of entrepreneurship and my research on the Negro Motorist Green Book and my business, The Passport Wanderer.
You are a recent graduate, like you said, but what do you focus your day to day on at the moment?
My day to day, I would say outside of work, it would just be me doing my research, just trying to make sure I'm staying up to date and current with a lot of things within my studies and just within history itself. Um, and just, outside of that, spending time with family, hanging out with them and just sharing my life's work, I'll say that, or the start of my life's work.
All right, that's interesting. So tell us about what are you researching?
So right now, I am currently doing research on the Negro Motorist Green Book, which was a travel guide for African Americans during the 20th century. They used that travel guide to help them, whether they're going on vacation, visiting family, or just business day-to-day operation trips that they were a part of. It allowed them to go to places that accepted African Americans. Being during this time, of course, we have segregation, so now African Americans weren't accepted at all white institutions, whether it was a hotel, a tourist home, a restaurant, gas station slash service station, or even a funeral home if something was to happen while they were on the road. So that travel guide that was created by Victor Green, he created that in 1936, and it allowed a lot of African Americans between 1936 to 1967, when its final publication was produced. It allowed them to travel anywhere where the company or the business was listed within that travel guide.
Okay. Is there any particular reason why you picked this part of your study, why you are researching this story?
Yeah, so during my pre-dissertation phase of just, when you go on that journey of trying to find out what you're going to write about, it just dawned on me, I wonder if I could write on something that dealt with travel. I'm a big traveler. I love traveling. I'm planning to add more countries to my list of international traveling. So I did research about, how did they travel back then? And that's when I came across the Negro Motorist Green Book. And I was able to find so many things about it that I had no idea, because I knew people, went to visit family. My family, we travel a lot to DC to go visit my father's side of the family. So I know how it is with a family of 7 driving in a car for 6 hours trying to get from Charlotte to DC. So I always wondered how that was for families during a time where they could not just freely do what they please while traveling. So when I came across the book, I was like, oh my God, oh, I'm sorry, the travel guide. I was like, wow, this is so cool. I never knew about it. And that's just what sparked my research into seeing what it was all about.
All right. So what time are we talking about now?
So we are still in the 20th century. I'll say possibly between post World War II and the 50s, for sure. I know with my dissertation, it was more so South Carolina, but now I'm venturing out to North Carolina now. I know that's kind of weird. How do you live and you're from North Carolina, but you end up talking about South Carolina? But I don't know. My fascination with South Carolina has been growing ever since I got into looking into history. So, looking at South Carolina for my dissertation, now me going into North Carolina, I want to be able to bridge the two and see how they coincide together with traveling and travel guides, being that they're so close. especially with Charlotte being what I'll say about 30 minutes to an hour outside the border of maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes outside of the border of South Carolina.
In this research now, you are finding out things about what was happening in the later part of the 20th, 21st century. You were saying
The Yes, the 20th
the
century.
20th century. Okay, all right.
Mhm.
Can you give somebody a context, because there are some people who do not understand why this is important now? Because you were saying something to the effect that there were some places that black people could not go. That might not be self-explanatory for everybody. Could you give us some context around that?
Yes. So I'll give you an example. For instance, if you are traveling with your family to go visit relatives in another state, say if you guys are from New York and you're traveling to the South, obviously there are a little bit more liberties in New York, although we still have had segregation. You're used to, or your family's used to doing more things that you could not do as soon as you cross that Mason-Dixon line over into the South. So something as simple as trying to stop to get something to eat. Now in this time period, you can go to McDonald's, Chipotle, wherever, stop and get some food, go use the restroom, come back out, and then drive. Well, back then you could not. You had to find a place that was dedicated to African Americans. And that at that time, we didn't have highways fully developed like how we do now. So you're going off of back roads, dirt roads, trying to find the closest place. And that closest place wouldn't even be for a good maybe 30 miles from your destination route, or even you wouldn't be close to one within about, I'll say 40, 45 miles, depending on where you're coming from and what route you're taking. So it was just interesting how you had to pretty much pre-plan your trip. So you already plan while you're traveling to say, okay, this is when we're going to stop as a family to use the restroom. This is when we're going to take a break to rest just in general, or switch drivers, however the driving it was back then for a family. But with this, you have to over plan, I'll even say. So you got to plan where to stop at whatever gas station that close by. You had to figure out where to stop if you guys wanted to stay the night. Some people couldn't afford to stay at certain places, even if they were dedicated to African Americans. So they had to plan to drive off the road to where they wouldn't get caught by cops or just any locals who just did not favor African Americans. And so driving into those areas, sleeping in your cars, having somebody on the lookout while you're sleeping, and then switching off so other person who's on lookout could sleep while you drive or be on the lookout. It was just a lot. So even where you couldn't find places that served you, and there weren't any places that served African Americans as far as food, having your own lunch pail full of chicken, any types of snacks and stuff that you guys like. Now we can bring a whole cooler and have snacks. But back then, it's like, okay, you have to preserve all this food for a trip to and from sometimes, depending on where you were going. So it's just a lot to think about, where now we take advantage of that and just, stop forever. But back then, you had to pre-plan. This is how our family is going to travel each time. So as frequent as are now, they weren't as frequent back then because of all that pre-planning and because of the things and stipulations that came with it when traveling, to whether it was a family trip, like I said, or a business trip. And this doesn't include flights, like traveling by plane. This is mostly for cars. So you're driving your own personal vehicle because that was your freedom. Once you got the vehicle, or your family had their family car, that was their freedom in itself because you owned it.
You are doing a lot of reading on about this story of the past, no? So I'm saying, is it
Yes.
possible that you're also speaking to people, some kind of eyewitness, people that can tell you about their personal experiences, or maybe the one that were told to them by their parent, their grandparents, something like that?
Yes. So I actually spoke to my grandmother. She did not know about the Negro Motorist Green Book, but she did tell me stories about her travels. And most of her travels were between, she is originally from Rockingham, North Carolina, which is like a small town here in North Carolina. So when she was young and with her mother and her father went up north to DC. This is my father's mother. He went to live in DC for work and would come back to North Carolina to spend time with his family once he made enough money, or he would send money back. So with her story, she would tell how she would drive by train, or go by train, excuse me, not drive by train, but go and travel to go see him during the summers. So she talked about how she would have to have her own container of chicken and food and just her own luggage, be by herself around the age of between 10 and 12, traveling by herself by train to go visit her father. And then the same would be if she would go visit her grandmother in South Carolina, excuse me, South Carolina, how she would have to travel by train there, and sometimes depending on her family got a car, traveling that way. So she was shocked about the Negro Motorist Green Book itself and how they had those different things, but she vividly recalled her own traveling by train and by car to visit family, and just the toughness and the things that she had to prepare for. And she even made a joke about how whenever her mother would make food for her family members in DC would be like, hey, make sure you save some for me so I can taste some of your mom's good cooking, good home cooking. And not only DC, she also had family members in Rochester, New York. So she would go, it was a great aunt, I believe. She would go up there and visit her great aunt and her cousins, and she would hang out with them on other summers as well, and just talk about just the traveling of that and how they had to sit in a designated car. And it was a lot. So hearing that as an eyewitness to me was shocking, because you hear about the stories from other people's perspectives, but when it gets into your family, it's close to home. So it definitely helped my perspective in doing my research.
All right, that's interesting. Okay, so this story that you are gathering, how are you disseminating it with the people?
So after graduating, I would say writing a book is on the list. I know it takes it takes a while to do that, so I did kind of like take a break from just writing in general once I graduated. But now I'm getting back into trying to do more things. But writing a book is on the list to do, so that will maybe possibly come out maybe within the next 2 years. I just have to get back into it in writing. As far as things that I'm doing now, I am creating a project I'm sorry, I'm in the conference room, so the lights will turn off, and I'm like, I'm in here. But sorry about
It's
that.
okay.
But yeah, so just creating my own project, my own living exhibit project on the Green Book. So talking about South Carolina and North Carolina again, just some of the extant or existing buildings that are still up today. That's my biggest thing that's coming up right now for me. So I've been doing a lot of research and looking at these places that they are either still within a family business or legacy and they're still running, or the actual building is still up and people are trying to turn it into a historic site for wherever they're at in that particular state.
What is the essence of this project that you are carrying out?
So right now I'm trying to continue to help others learn about um, hidden stories,
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
not hidden like yeah, not hidden as in like someone's trying to prevent people from learning about it, but it's just a lot of people don't know. So I want to give those stories a voice, outside of textbooks, outside of an article. I want it to come to life. So right now it's an online exhibit that I'm trying to create, but maybe possibly one day it can be something that's physical and people can look at and I can bring to different museums at some point. It's just a goal of mine, or I guess something I'm looking forward to doing if it takes off the way I want it to. But just I have this thing where it is for my passport wanderer business of history reclaimed, voices restored. That's my saying. So I'm trying to reclaim that history that was once hidden or that a lot of people don't know about, and restore the voices that come out of those stories.
All right. Hidden history. That's interesting. Where is that idea
Yes.
coming from? Tell me how you are navigating that.
Upon my research, I'm coming up on different things each day, or new things that I didn't even know about. So whenever I see something that is new to me or that I'm learning to add on to my own research, I want to make sure that part is highlighted so that everyone can see it. Because, like I said, a lot of people, if you're not going to look for it yourself during your own research, you might miss it. Or if you're not even into history or research in general, you're not going to learn about it until someone steps up to the plate and gives that information or hands that information out to you. And then you can do your own personal research. Well, I want to do that for people who will come across it one day and be like, wow, I didn't know about that. Or I didn't even know this place existed in my community. I want to go check it out. And it just brings more people to it, to where it's now a place of, this is something that's historical in my community or in my neighborhood that I want to share with my kids possibly someday, or with the next generation.
How do you see people reacting to what you are doing? Now you're talking about he did history, and that should be really interesting for people. Yeah. So there was this. I think it was on CNN. I think it was Zim Verji at the time, the journalist who was talking about international news. No, no,
Hmm.
local news. That is how she put it. No, and
A
it would
local
say
news. Yes.
wherever you find yourself is local, because if you are in New York, somebody in Washington
Hmm.
might not really consider what is happening in New York to be local. That is something that is coming from the outside because you are in Washington, you are listening to a story that is coming from New York. But to the people of New York, that is local because they are there. So
Yes.
if you are talking about London, because you are living in New York, London is far away, so therefore that is international. But to the people in London, that is
Yes.
local. Everything that is happening around us, we know. So I'm saying that to me, there is something hidden almost all the time because not only hidden because somebody is hiding it from you, it because you're not paying attention to it because you are paying attention to something else. So now,
Yes.
maybe what you
Yes.
are doing is helping people to uncover that thing that you are not paying attention to, but it's also relevant to. Because I remember what Tony Morrison was saying that we need to pay attention to the ordinary because that is where the thing actually is hidden. Because every time we're looking at, oh, those big story, but the big story is
Hmm.
actually made up of the little stories. I
Yes.
find that to be really
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah, no, no, for sure. I mean, like you said, it's sometimes it does come down to people are just not paying attention. Whether you are in that particular area or you're from another area, and it comes out and you're like, oh wow, or internationally. Somehow it's going to connect though. Whether you're in London, whether you're in New York or North Carolina, California, Louisiana, wherever, it's going to connect somehow because it's to me personally, I believe that all history is connected in some way somehow. So with, for instance, with the Negro Motorist Green Book, there were locations where Victor Green had was not just focusing on the United States. He also had places in the Caribbean or places in Europe, Canada, New Mexico. I mean, not New Mexico, excuse me, Mexico. So it's not like it was just, majority of it was in the United States, but it wasn't like there weren't other places for people to travel once it became relevant for us to travel to those other areas for vacation, rather.
All right. What really interests you about history?
Yeah, all three degrees are in history. And honestly, during that period when you're in high school and you're like, oh, so what's next? I did not know what I had next. So, or what I was going to do next. All I knew was because I'm a former athlete, I ran track in middle school, high school, and college. So, for me, that was like my main thing. But I'm like, okay, I need to have some kind of a backup plan as to what I want to do once track is over for me. And so it started with me having a knack for remembering people's birthdays. So like everybody in my family, my immediate family, whether it's my parents and my siblings, my aunts and uncles, I remember a lot of their birthdays, pretty much all of them. So I'm like the first one to say, "Oh, happy birthday, such and such," and they're like, "Oh wow, I didn't even know that you knew." I'm like, "Yeah, I do." Like it's embedded in my brain that I know when your birthday is. So started with that, and then from birthdays, it moved to when I did take history classes. The dates of certain events that happened throughout history, I started to remember those, and then I went into research, and then now I'm just like, wow, this is I think I like this. I think I want to take this to the next level. So for me, once it from there, it then went to okay, is there something that I can do with history? And so of course, the first thing people think about is either becoming a lawyer or being a teacher. I didn't really have a fascination for becoming a lawyer, so I tried to go the becoming a history teacher route, and then from there, it went from teaching history to okay, is there anything else outside of these two things that normally people bring up? And then that's when I got into the whole public history and museums and exhibitions and everything that dealt with public history. That's when I got into that field.
All right. And what is public?
So public history is the history of the public, in so terms to speak. So whether you're preserving the history in your community, local or international, But in your community, within a historic site or historic preservation, it's just commemorating that history of where you're at, your community, where you live at, where or a relatives community or something where you've been to that place before and you're fascinated with that history, so you want to let the public know this is what's going on where you live at or where we live at. That makes
Hmm.
sense.
Who are you engaging with in your area of history?
Most of it is local. It's a lot of people that are around here, and it's not. I think for me, I'm still trying to find my footing into like who the right people are to talk to, because it is a vast field. It's a lot of people in this field, even though a lot of people don't really know about the field because it is, I'll say, fairly new. Not fairly new, like a couple of years, but like fairly new as far as other fields. So like I want to say, hope I'm not misquoting, about 1967-ish. I think that's when public history became like a worldwide thing. Not worldwide, yeah, worldwide field. So and if I'm wrong, I apologize because I there are a lot of dates that I do remember. But yeah, so um that right that I'll say is definitely the field, uh that it being a new field, excuse me, and then just people, I guess you did say getting into the field, correct? I'm
Yeah, yeah,
sorry, I
no, no
lost my
problem, no
train of
problem.
thought.
No, no. When you create information about this public history, who will be paying attention?
Oh, like who would be the person, like I guess someone would speak to
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
interested? You can always start like we talked about with your local, you can start with a local museum if your area has one, or even with a museum like your state museum. If there's a historical site in your area, you can start there and just learn about a particular person or event that happened in your community. You can always start with a quick Google search and say, like, what happened during this time, or a particular site that talks about facts in your area. Obviously, your textbooks and stuff, if you're still in high school, or if you're taking a particular history class in college, 9 times out of 10, your professor will talk about, and this happened in this city where you're from. And then if you're interested in that, take it from there and then just do the research and see, okay, I want to learn more about this particular event that happened in
Or-
Charlotte. Or I want to learn about this particular event that happened in Raleigh, or just wherever you're interested in. Just it starts from there. But taking the time to talk to those people who are already in the field, finding them, it's not really hard. You can go on different sites. Like the National Council for Public History is a good one. They um, have their own membership thing where you can just look for certain stuff that's happening within the public history world. They have their own blog, History at Work, and different people contribute to that and look into what's going around in the public history field internationally, locally, or nationally. So it's pretty cool. I would start there though, those that website or different historic sites and museums that are in your
all
area.
right. Were there people within this field of public history that sort of inspired you, that made you want to become a public historian?
That's a good question. I don't I don't have a particular person per se. I do just the field itself, I would say, is something that I was interested in. I will say prior to me getting my master's, I did not know about public history. I just knew about, like I mentioned before, I just knew about history itself. So then actually it was she's not in the field, but my mother helped me do more research into what else was out there. And that's how we came upon museum curation, which is it's just a part of public history. And I always had a knack for visiting museums because I did that a lot with my grandmother and with my siblings when we would go and visit her in DC, going to the Smithsonian a lot. And that's where it started for me, just visiting those places more so than talking to a particular person. Um, Now, I will say I did, when I did like internships and volunteered, there's a place here in Charlotte, historic Ladder Plantation. Anne Marie Riley, she was one of the people who was one of the executive directors there at the historic Ladder Plantation. She is no longer there. I don't know where she's moved on to now. But when she was there, she kind of helped me a lot. And then I also interned at the Harvey B. Gantt Center here in Charlotte. It's a African American art museum based off of Harvey B. Gantt, one of our first, actually, yeah, our first African American mayor in Charlotte. He has his own art museum, and so Alexis Taylor was the curator at the time when I interned, and she helped me kind of like get my foot in the door with looking into the world of curation and then just public history. So I guess I do have two people. Those two people kind of helped me get into the field, and then from there I just went into just doing my own research and just
Wow. Yeah,
here I am
that's
today.
good. That's good. That's good enough. All right. Now, let's learn a little bit about you. So, you were born in North Carolina, or tell me a bit about what do you
Yes,
remember? Yeah, yeah, tell me
born
about that.
Yeah, born and raised in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. I now live in Harrisburg, North Carolina, which is like a small town outside of Charlotte because Charlotte is expanding tremendously. Um, but yeah, growing up here, I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen where we used to have gravel roads, and so now we have paved streets and all these highways connecting us to every major highway that we have that can connect to through North Carolina. So it's been a lot. I grew majority. My mother is from North Carolina, so she um, can tell you more than I can. But she saw even before when we didn't have highways and it was more so back roads. Like we had a highway, but it wasn't like major now. So it's Charlotte has grown a lot. I would say for anybody to visit, I think you would enjoy it. It's very big on the banking industry over here, so a lot of people who are into banking and finance, I personally would say will flourish here a lot. A lot of people from up north are coming down here because to them they find pricing not as expensive as living in New York and Pennsylvania and New Jersey in those areas. So I think they enjoy it. To me, it's changed. It's different now, and of course, a lot of people from Charlotte have adapted or are trying to adapt. So it's pretty good. But as far as myself, I mean, like I said, born and raised here, so um, I enjoy it. I mean, it has its ups and downs. I've lived in other places before, so
Right.
of course, this is always going to be home.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
it wasn't many other places, but yeah.
All right. So, tell me, what was your kind of vision as you were growing up in Charlotte?
I will say, growing up, I my vision for myself, I honestly thought I was going to be in the Olympics. That was my vision, to be the next track Olympian. And when that didn't pan out, like I said before, I went with my plan B, which was to go into academics. I had no idea. If you would have asked 13-year-old Justice what was next, getting her PhD was not on the list. So I still shock myself to this day, knowing that, oh wow, I really took that step and got my doctorate, and here I am now. Yeah, I a lot of the stuff that I envisioned for myself, it's some things are coming to pass, and I'm grateful for that. Thanking God for that every day. But a lot of other things, I'm just like, wow, it's something new every day. So um, of course, as I've gotten older, the vision has changed. I've adapted to it because life happens. Nothing negative, but life happens. So you can't control life, but you can control how you view it. So that's something I'm learning each and every day, how I view my life, how I view my decisions, making the right decisions, making sure I am going along the right path, the positive path, and being positive, because you never know who's looking up to you, you never know who's watching you. So anybody could be watching you and you have no idea, and they're like, wow, Dr. Brisco was the person that I looked up to in her journey, and she succeeded in what she's done, so I want to be like her. Or I love what she has done for herself, and someday I wish I can do
All
that.
right.
So
That's great. That's great. So as we look ahead now, okay, you are a young graduate. You still have a lot ahead of you. So tell me,
yes.
what are you seeing ahead of you that they are working towards?
The goal has been, within these past couple of years, has always been to work in the museum as a curator. Um, but if that changes, I'm open. I'm trying to learn to be open to whatever my research or whatever God has planned for me, when it comes to what's next. So, like I said before, didn't think that PhD was in the books for me. Didn't even think about it. Wasn't even planning on doing it. Look where I am now. So now I'm taking that same approach of whatever comes, comes. As of right now, I'm not in my field as far as working like I would want to, as far as the job per se. But wherever my research leads me, when that job does come, for sure, I'll be open to whatever comes my way. And so I'm thankful for it for sure.
That
I am thankful for it for sure.
that's interesting. That's interesting.
Sorry, it's doing it again.
That's great. That's great. So tell me a bit of how do you go about your research? Could you share with us a bit about that because you've been doing this for a long time now.
So basically, when I find something, whether I've never learned about it before or never heard of it, or I've heard about it, but I just didn't really like take the time to research it, I'll always come back and look for the facts first, obviously, because a lot of misinformation can be put out there about certain things, especially if you're getting it from social media most of the time. I personally don't do that, but if someone does present it on social media and I come across it, I'll go look for it myself and make sure I get all the right information that way. Um, so whether it's going to my local library and looking up, or somebody in who has done that research and has a book on it, I'll look up the research or the information that way. If it's in a textbook, if I can find one, I'll do that as well. Or if someone has written a dissertation or a thesis on it, and then I'll just go from there. Um, and look into it and see. And then by that point, once I've looked into it, I'm learning even more about what that topic is about, and what it has to offer, and who are the main people involved in whatever topic it was about. So that's how I pretty much approach it. I don't have any like fancy way of looking into it. Really, it's just I just take it one step at a
All right.
time, for
When you
sure.
were responding before, you made mention of legacy. So I'm trying to see
Mhm.
what that might mean to you in terms of all the story that you are gathering, and also what you call the hidden story. So when you put all
Mhm.
of this together, what would this mean for you in terms of legacy in what you're doing?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So legacy wise, as far as for my own family, when I do get into that role of becoming a wife and a mother, I want to leave something for them in case they want to take after my own footsteps and become a historian, public historian, or if they want to do something else. I want to leave something behind for them. And I even say that with because of my research, a lot of people who had businesses in the Negro Motorist Green Book and their businesses are still thriving. A lot of them have their families taking over their businesses. Like for instance, one of the businesses in Columbia, South Carolina, who I really admire how they did it. The great grandfather was the one who started the funeral home business, Levy's Funeral Home, and it started out as a service station, like a gas station, but they turned to a funeral home, and it was a part of both the service station and the funeral home were a part of the travel guide. And so now I think it's on his great grandson now, or great great grandson, that is running the business. So it's gone through generation after generation with the family name being there and not another entity or a third party taking over. And it's still to this day flourishing. I went to visit it when I was doing my research, and I could see people. Unfortunately, it's the funeral home business, so of course they stay in business because of people passing away. But I mean, just how they ran it, I think it was pretty interesting. So, in that sense of legacy, something to pass down on to the next generation, and also to my own children when that day
All
comes.
right, those days are coming.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, thank you so much for this conversation, Justice. I really appreciate it. Now, let me take a moment to share with you that I really appreciate what you're doing, and it fully aligns with what we have been doing for a number of years about the African diaspora collecting our stories, because we believe that this is what we are supposed to do, so that other people that come after all can sort of take the experiences that we have gathered and also continue from there, because we are not going
Mhm.
to see the end of it. This is just a journey, and we are just participating in
Yes,
it.
yes,
So
yes.
over the years, we have for over 14 years, we have collected documentation that we have used to build what we call the sovereign oracle. So what that means now
Okay.
is that it's an intelligent AI that you can interact with, but it's built around African intelligence, African core value. So if you like, I can
Wow.
share with
Okay.
you. So we take a moment to interact with it briefly. Is that okay for you?
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
Okay. So this is a sovereign oracle. If you go
Okay.
down, you can read about it, where it's coming from. It's a project that started over 14 years ago.
Hmm.
So what we will do now, we just do a live test, okay? Uh, so
Okay.
what kind of question would you like to ask the sovereign oracle? Like I already said, it's based on African diaspora key concept about our value, our life, our history. So why don't we ask
Okay.
the sovereign oracle the question, and you will be the one to judge if it is reasonable. You will be the expert, the judge in it. What kind of question would you ask within your
Okay.
area?
Um, I guess since I my research is on travel, what is it like to travel in Africa? I guess.
What is it like to travel? Okay, did I write this well? What is it like to travel? It doesn't have to necessarily be Africa. Africa can be in the diaspora too. Oh, this is the question you want to ask.
Okay.
Okay, would you like to travel in Africa? Would you like to say by a diaspora, for example? Okay,
Yes, you
yeah,
can
okay,
add that.
all right. So we put the question just like that, and we
Hmm.
listen to what the sovereign oracle will say.
Well, it must be giving a great answer then. All the thinking it's doing.
Yeah. I'm going to leave it for you to decide it. Uh,
Okay.
okay, let's see. Can you see it enough?
Yes, yes. I see where it says traveling in Africa as a diasporan is a profound journey that goes far beyond typical tourism. Okay. It is an immersive experience that reconnects you with your ancestral roots, cultural heritage, and living communities in ways that restore identity and purpose. Wow. This travel is often designed as a purposeful pilgrimage rather than a mere visit, offering opportunities to engage deeply with local cultures, participate in community led initiatives, and confront historical narratives with dignity and respect. I think that's pretty
All right.
good. It doesn't just, yeah, I don't, it doesn't just give you, oh, we're just visiting the African diaspora. We are traveling and looking up our ancestral roots. We're looking up cultural heritage. I
All
love
right.
this. This is
Okay.
awesome. This is
Okay.
awesome.
Thank you for that. All right, Justice. So I really want to thank you so much for your time and also for your sharing here. I appreciate it. And also thank you so much for what you're doing.